My next guest is Queen D. Michelle. She is an author, blogger, and creator who has taught in elementary and middle schools for 27 years, and 4 of those years she was an administrator. She's worked in Michigan, Nevada, and Georgia, both in private, public, charter, and magnet schools. She is now retired, but her life's mission is dedicated to Generation Alpha. Generation Alpha turned 15, 14 in 2025. And she's written a curriculum called 52 Insights, which she'll be talking about on the show. She's created the mindfulness curriculum for 7th through 9th grade students. Um, and it's focused on self-awareness through activities that foster mindfulness, self-management, relationship skills, social awareness, and conscious decision making. Well, welcome to the podcast, Queen D.
Thank you,
Michelle.
Dana. Thank you for inviting me. I'm honored to be here.
Well, I'll start off with the question I ask everyone. Tell me about a time when you were in the trenches and managed to crawl out.
In the trenches and managed to crawl out. Well, listen, I believe retiring is that crawling out of
Hmm.
the trenches being education.
Yeah.
That was my career, teaching and administrating at one point. For 27 years. I retired in 2015, or in other words, I crawled out of the
Hmm.
trenches in 2015. And a whole nother journey brought me around to the creation of 52 Insights for Gen Alpha, a conscious curriculum.
Hmm. So you did relocate to Mexico when you retired. Talk to me a little bit about just moving out of the country and how life is for you in Mexico.
Oh, wow. Well, listen, when I crawled out of the trenches, that first year, I
Hmm.
look at my pension, and I said, okay, ooh, that'll pay the rent. And so
Yeah.
during that first year after retiring, I was doing uh, different mm, side jobs,
Yeah.
if you will, to supplement my pension. And for that
Hmm.
first year, it was pretty cool because
Hmm.
for 27 years, my career, I was regulated by bells, bell to start the day, a bell to eat lunch, a bell to end the day. So now I'm out here and I'm an Uber driver and a
Hmm.
Lyft driver. And I'm doing some online teaching for China, children in China. And I'm doing some online remote work. And one of my favorite jobs, I was a shuttle driver for
Hmm.
a transportation company that serviced the railroad. So I was taking engineers and conductors to and from their train. So all these very interesting jobs supplementing my
Yeah.
pension until all of a sudden I said, hey, wait a minute. I'm gonna always have to do this. I'm going to always have to work to
Hmm.
supplement my pension. And I didn't want to be 70 years old saying, welcome to Walmart.
Yeah.
Because I saw them out there. We're Uber drivers and we're at the airport and we're in
Yeah.
retail and we're not out there because we want
Yes.
to be, Dana. We're
Yeah.
out there because we have to be. And
Hmm.
I just didn't feel like I owed anyone or anything my entire life. I mean, I could have stayed on the wheel. I could have
Yeah.
stayed on that wheel and worked, but the thing about that, I
Hmm.
only would have been working to pay bills.
Hmm.
Work, pay bills. Work, pay bills. See, there
Sure.
would be no weekend getaways or
Hmm. Hmm.
fine dining or any concerts. I would work, pay bills until I couldn't work anymore due to age and and health. And then
Yeah.
I would live substandardly because I
Yeah.
wasn't. So in that moment, in that epiphany that I had, I started researching the top 10 places to retire. And this is back in 2016. And
Hmm.
at the time that was Thailand and Colombia and Costa
Hmm.
Rica and Mexico and Ecuador, you know. And Mexico, for me, at that time, I was living in Atlanta. It checked all the boxes.
Hmm.
Mexico has 32 states, and in the state of Jalisco, It
Mhm.
houses the largest freshwater lake in the country of Mexico. That lake is
Mhm.
called Lake Chapala. Now, surrounding that lake are little towns and villages. And on the
Mhm.
north shore of that lake, it's the largest expat community in the
Okay.
country of Mexico. Expat being expatriates, those who are citizens in one country but reside in another. And it checked
Mhm.
all the boxes for me because it was a 3.5 hour nonstop flight from Atlanta into Guadalajara. Guadalajara is the capital of Jalisco. And then just a 30-minute ride into town, that Lake Chapala, that North Shore. And so that's box one, location. Box two was climate. You know, it
Mhm.
was voted, that area was
Mhm.
voted by National Geographic to be the second best climate in the world. And that's because it's eternally spring there. Now, it's a wet spring and a dry spring, but spring nonetheless. And then, so that's the second box, climate. And then, of course, like I said, that expat community, you know, it made for a really soft landing. So against all the odds and of my friends and my family saying, Mexico, you mean, are you, you know, where the cartel and the drugs and the this and the that? Oh my God. I went ahead and I made that leap and I moved to the Lake Japala area. And I'm telling you, there are Americans and Canadian. We're walking around with this big smile on our face, kind of winking at one another, like, hey, because, you know, we know this big secret. Although it wasn't too much of a secret uh, for me after I got there. I soon settled in. Like I said, I had such a soft landing. My first book I wrote there was Considerations, a guide for moving abroad. 10 chapters, each chapter a consideration. You know, consider visas, consider finance. And this is all based on my experience of doing it. And I really opened some eyes to that area. When I got there, you can count the black females on your hand. But I'm telling you now, today, there's a wonderful population of African American community, more so women, middle-aged women, more so than men, but it has really grown. And I like to think that because I was, you know, pretty much a part of that. But I tell you this, um, during my 4 years of living lakeside, I had this spiritual awakening. It was the magic of the mountains that I hiked, the magic of the very lake itself. There's a vortex there, and now I'm disconnected from the noise, you know, of the distractions. I'm off the wheel. I'm out of the trenches, if you will. So now there's time to really tune in to me and that true purpose of why I'm even here, you know, and who I actually am. This awakening, if you will. An awakening is just basically a remembered state. I remembered, you know, and that's just because there was time for me to remember who I was. So here I am, 4 years in, and I had started a brand, Consideration of the Soul. I wrote several books, Traveling Home Together. Get this one, 52 Insights for Living New Earth Now. Uh, was the book, and The Road to Well-Being. These are books that I've written, and here I am. I'm getting ready to have an 8-month workshop, and it was going to be called The Soul's Journey. Right. And I called in the gurus around Lakeside, the one in meditation, one in movement, one in art. And, you know, it was going to be based on my books, starring again 52 Insights for Living New Earth. Now I'm going to take them on this journey. And it was set up for every Saturday, the third Saturday of every month for 8 months. Um, and I had the facility. I had gave a presentation. People had signed up, and then I got the call. I got the call from home. I'm born and raised in Detroit, Michigan, and the call was simply that mom and pop is 99 with dementia, and mom was 86 with her own medical problem. They had both left the house via ambulance within a week of each other. When I got back to Detroit, they were both in a rehabilitation center. Pop was on one end of the hallway, and mom was on the other. And when they left the facility, uh, unbeknownst to me, there was no one to take care of them, a full time. I have two older brothers, and I was led to believe that everything was fine at home, but that was not the case. And I became their full time caregiver. So all of that work that I had done, I just put it to the side. I just set it just, I set it down. And mom and pop did pass in 2022 within 10 months of each other. Pop in February and mom on New Year's Eve. So here I am. I'm still in Detroit. I'm wrapping things up. I was there 3.5 years and 4 consecutive winners. Count those winners. And while I was there, it was my niece's birthday. My niece, I tell you, the universe is perfect. It was her birthday, and I just so happened to look at 52 Insights for Living New Earth Now. And I said, I'm gonna give her that book. I mean, it's just sitting there, right? That work is just sitting there. It's a great, the book is gold, right? So I give her the book and a candle and a bottle of wine. Happy birthday, niece. And she thumbed through it and she said, "Oh, Auntie," she said, "this would be great for high school." My niece, among other things, is a girls' high school basketball coach. And it kind of hit me, kind of took me back. I said, you're right. Knowing the contents of it, I said, you're absolutely right. I talked to another relative who was a retired teacher and administrator, and she said, "Oh, no." She said, "That would be perfect for middle school." And I'm telling you, Dana, something just blew up inside me. Lights went off. It was like fireworks. It was, it was everything it was supposed to be. But my thought was, who's middle school in this moment? I had no idea who is. I've been out, from teaching, separated from teaching for years. Who is middle school? So as a researcher, I did that deep dive into who is middle school right now. And I discovered it was Generation Alpha. So then that's when my deep dive went into Generation Alpha. Who is Generation Alpha? Generation Alpha was born between 2010 and 2024. The oldest of that generation just turned 13 last year. They are the children of the millennials and some of the X's who got in the game kind of late, right? Um, they are the first generation to be born fully in the 21st century. What that means, Dana, is they've been clicking and swiping since infancy. They are and will be the largest generation in the history of the world. They are in spaces, in platforms currently that are free from parental influence. They are in spaces and in platforms that their parents don't even understand. They are, with just the name of their generation, Alpha, responsible for the conscious evolution of humanity. you know and through that deep dive and the understanding happened, with me just being alive, aligned and awakened in that remembered state. All that work, Dana, that I did back in Mexico, it was never for the audience that I thought it was for. It was always for Generation Alpha. And had I known that, maybe I would have messed it up. But now having that understanding and connecting my skill set with my purpose, uh, 52 Insights for Living New Earth Now became 52 Insights for Gen Alpha, a conscious curriculum. So those 52 insights, I created a lesson plan for each one of those uh, insights, which in the beginning it was a quote. See, what 52 Insights is actually is that during 2021, I posted an original quote across all of my platforms. Remember, I had the brand and a YouTube channel and the blog and audios and videos. But anyway, I posted an original quote either from my uh, blogs or my books or just straight from meditation. And every Thursday across my platforms for 52 weeks, for an entire year, every Thursday. I brought that together in one presentation. And of course, with it, placed a reflection page next to that quote that would take them into a deeper dive into the quote, either to my books, my audios, uh, my videos. And then my other books I included in there for practices and exercises uh, to help again create that internal understanding of that quote. So I created a lesson for each one of those quotes. 52 Insights for Gen Alpha. It's a 52, it's a year's program actually now. The curriculum is a year's program. And I actually had an opportunity to pilot that program in two middle schools last year in Detroit for the 2024-25 school year. And boy, did I learn a lot through piloting the curriculum. And it was hard getting into the schools. It was hard because um, basically I came in under the framework of the social and emotional intelligence framework that's already been out there, it's already been researched and proven, and that's what's lacking with Generation Alpha. See, they've only been taught externally. They've been clicking and swiping since they are a different breed. And what my curriculum does is help create that balance uh, that has been missing um, internally because their world has always been uh, that of an external world. So um, I learned a lot in piloting that program.
So in the
Uh,
pre-chat, you talked to me a little bit about, you're developing a course through San Diego University.
oh,
Uh,
not developing. I'm taking a course.
okay, you're
One of
taking, yeah, you're
yes.
taking a course and that's to help you, further develop this curriculum, that you piloted last year. So tell me a little bit about how you're continuing to develop the curriculum.
Oh my goodness. So uh, I learned a lot during the pilot, and one of the things that I learned uh, is that unconscious can't teach consciousness. You you understand what I'm saying? If that makes any sense to you, the unconscious can't teach consciousness. In other words, teachers can't take students on a journey that they haven't been on themselves. Okay. Back when I was in school, we had classes like home economics and auto mechanics and carpentry and and typing. You know, those things that kind of got us prepared for the world in which we were going to be in. Correct. Well, again, with Generation Alpha being that of just a completely different breed, uh, there's no class that kind of that we went that extra curriculum. I put the book and the curriculum in the hands of content teachers, English,
Okay.
math, social studies. And here's the thing, this book it's one of those auto mechanic kind of
Mhm.
classes. It's
Yeah,
it's a home ec kind of class.
yeah,
So those content teachers were and I watch them and I get it. They're putting out fires all day long. They're
yeah.
putting out fires. So this is not the type of journey that they can take them
Yeah.
on. Because this is a journey that they haven't been on.
Yeah.
A lot of them. Now, those I noticed who actually really did try to incorporate it, for the most part, was that of the music teacher, the art
Mhm.
teacher. You know,
Mhm.
they took a peek at it and was trying to, but not those content teachers, you know. So it would have to be a teacher who's been on this journey, you know, and has that awakening, that in that remembered state, just to
Mhm.
take them on the internal journey that the curriculum takes them on and gives them that balance. The second thing that I learned was that in order for the curriculum to be the program itself to be
Mhm. Mhm.
marketable and to be consumable by for its target audience, I have to integrate AI
Mhm.
into the curriculum. You know, there's no way about it because that's their world. That's where they're going. You know, and so in order to take them on this internal journey, uh, AI needs to be integrated. So I am currently in just about finishing up a course that I took out of San Diego University, that for curriculum development, how to integrate AI into a curriculum. And boy, have I learned so much. And this is the softwares, the platforms that uh, my that I can integrate my curriculum into. And it's an adaptive learning software. And several platforms out there are now using adaptive learning, this particular software. Adaptive learning software is an innovative and cutting edge methodology which aims to personalize education by developing learning paths, or in the case of my curriculum, internal journeys for students in real time. Internal journeys. It's fascinating. So here's this: when it's all said and done, when I now that I've learned in how to integrate 52 insights for Gen Alpha, a conscious curriculum, will promote a self-directed internal. Hmm? And that's the balance that they're lacking, that social and emotional uh, journey. Um, 52 Insights will promote a self directed internal learning path, or as I like to say, journey through personalized lessons from the curriculum according to the Myers-Briggs type indicator theory, which assesses the personality of an individual and suggests that each person is unique in their own self. Therefore, they will take their own unique SEL journey. You know, because they're all diverse, and they're diverse learners, period, right? So they're diverse in where they are socially and emotionally as well. So now this, you know, curriculum, they can go on their own self I would like to say self-paced, that learning path or journey uh internally. So I'm extremely excited about that now, because now all the cooperating components are coming together to make this marketable. And because I saw when I piloted that this content is rich, it is impactful, and it is needed. And now with the element of AI that can take them on a personalized internal journey, it's gold. And I'm extremely excited about it.
Yeah, it's great to hear about your reflection, about some of the insights that you gained from the pilot, and then knowing now through the course that you're taking about integrating AI and that piece with adaptive learning. I know schools use that a lot for reading and math assistance, but really being able to use it for a SEL curriculum. I think a lot of schools, like you said, having this at the middle school level, right? Working with those students in that age range, so they can better be aware, like you said, unconscious, um, conscious, what was that? Unconscious. We can't teach consciousness.
Consciousness.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah, they need to be more self-aware. A lot of this stuff isn't being taught at home or in elementary, I think. And once they start hitting the age where you're doing a lot of these things that, like you said, parents aren't necessarily aware of,
Absolutely.
helping them be more responsible citizens. When do you think this would be available? And are you thinking of doing an additional pilot, or what is your way forward in terms
Where,
of the curriculum?
mhm. What is my way forward? Well, first of all, I'm looking at it being fully integrated and ready for market uh, within the first quarter of the new year,
Okay.
2026. And Dana, I envision ed tech companies
Okay.
bidding bidding for the rights to this program, the rights to this curriculum, and it's fully engrossed with videos, audio,
Mm-hmm.
exercises, practices. It's a year's program. Each quote is a week that they stay on that quote
Mm-hmm.
um, for a week, deep diving with reflection and again exercises and practices that and uh, and journeying just with that understanding. It's an internal journey that will help
Mm-hmm.
balance out that because remember again these kids have been clicking and swiping since infancy. I have a 7-year-old grandson. He's generation alpha. I would love for him by the time he reaches uh, middle school to
Mm-hmm.
engage in this content in this way. And here's another thing too. Once out there and whoever has this content, they can take it and it can be modified all the way
Okay.
down to, let's start at kinder. I middle school was my area of expertise, upper elementary, middle school. So, and I know just based because remember, I hadn't intended this to be
Mm-hmm.
fortune. I had a whole nother audience in my, but it was never for them. But it
Okay.
can and very well is geared and ready for Generation Alpha, starting 12-year-olds, 13-year-olds, 14-year-olds. So I'm saying middle and high school students, but it's
Mm-hmm.
also still geared for adults who need to take that internal journey. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
To come
Mm-hmm.
into that remember state. Mindfulness is just not for Generation Alpha. It's for all of us. Being self-aware, socially aware, having relationship skills that can work for all of us because we're all been on that
Mm-hmm.
wheel and completely distracted, not even having time to take that internal journey. That's
Mm-hmm.
why, like I say, those teachers couldn't teach it. How could they? They haven't been on it themselves. That they need to breathe. They need to meditate. And that's
Yeah.
something that they're not doing, so um or unaware of that the importance of it because again because of that will, because of that that system designed to to keep one from it going
Mm-hmm.
internally
Mm-hmm.
completely because what good would that do them if you found your purpose? What good that's not going to help
Mm-hmm.
their
Mm-hmm.
bottom line, and again, I could have stayed on that wheel very easily, stayed on it and just locked in.
Mm-hmm.
And had I done that, Dana,
Mm-hmm.
there never would have been a 52 Insights for Living New Earth Now, and which
Mm-hmm.
was then and became 52 Insights for Gen Alpha. Do you understand that
Mm-hmm.
that whole
Mm-hmm.
thing never would have happened? That purpose, the reason why I'm even here,
Mm-hmm.
wouldn't even happen had I stayed on the wheel.
Mm-hmm.
Had I been 70 years old saying welcome to Walmart,
Yeah.
because I need to work and pay bills, work
Mm-hmm.
and pay bills until I couldn't do it anymore and then
Yeah.
live. understandably, because I'm not working. So I envision this truly being out there. I don't know what ed tech company is
Mhm,
going to
mhm,
grab hold of it and see the value in the goal of this. You know how impactful and important this is. But that's not even my worry. All I know is that I was to do the work. My mission was to do the work, and I
mhm,
truly believe that the universe will bring together all the cooperating components, because this is not going to just sit, like it
mhm.
did uh those years. But even that, the way that came together, I know that
Yeah,
it will get into the hands that it's supposed to get into. It will be modified. It will,
yeah,
the light that it carries will lead, guide, and direct uh Generation Alpha, and help um put the tools uh in their hands necessary to navigate their world.
mhm, mhm, mhm. So it's exciting to see what's coming up for the curriculum in the new year. And, like you said, what ed tech companies will pick that up, getting that into school. So a lot of development, a lot of things to be determined in the next few years. But in general, in terms of this conversation around Gen Alpha, around your curriculum and your trench story, I think we've had a great conversation. Out of everything we've talked about today, what's one thing you'd like listeners to remember?
Um, you know what? Thank you for that. That's a great question. Hey, listeners, I would like to read the very first quote out of um, their book, if you will, 52 Insights. This is the very first quote. And this is what I would like to leave your listeners with, something to gnaw on. And it says, "The Matrix cares not of the quality and purpose of your life here, but only of the quantity and how much you can give over to the system. You owe no one or no thing your life."
Yeah, I think that's definitely a lot to gnaw on, whether you're talking to youth or the adults that are giving the curriculum. Thank you so much for your time on the Out of the Trenches podcast. Where can people connect with you and find you online?
Um, I have a website, and it's FULA, FULA, American.org. Now, that website houses, of course, my nonprofit organization, FULA History and Genealogy Society in America. That's a whole nother,
Mhm.
that's a whole nother show. But also on there, there's a tab that says 52 Insights, and they can just go to that website, click on that tab,
Okay.
and just get some more understanding of everything I talked about today as it relates to the curriculum. Also, there's a tab with all of my books and writings on there. And then there's a tab called My Soul's Journey Home. And
Okay.
that is a 16 chapter blog of my trip to Guinea-Bissau, West Africa, and also Egypt. And it's a
Mhm.
16 chapter, very engaging blog. And
Mhm.
if they are interested in just learning and seeing about that, everything is housed on fulaamerican.org.
Okay. And then social media, where can people find you on social media?
Um, Social media, that would be Fula American. Facebook is Fula
Mhm.
American Facebook. It's Fula American LinkedIn. It's Fula American Instagram. And again, everything is under that umbrella of the website, fulaamerican.org. And they can, reach out to me there.
Okay. I'll put those in the show notes. Well, it's been a pleasure having you on the Out of the Trenches
Thank
podcast
you so
today.
much. Thank you so much for having me. It's been a pleasure being here. You have a wonderful day. And you guys remember, one light, one love.